Hey, Thought Tidbitters, and welcome back. You know that feeling you get when it seems like everyone else is on some epic adventure while you're stuck at home? Yeah, we're diving deep into FOMO today. The fear of missing out is practically a universal language these days. In our hyper-connected world, I totally get it. Just last week, my friend's vacation photos were blowing up my feed. White sand beaches, crystal clear water, and suddenly, doing laundry felt very unappealing. It got me thinking, though, is FOMO always a bad thing, or is there more to it?
It's interesting. FOMO can be a powerful force, but like most things, it has two sides. We often focus on the negative, but there's a whole positive side to FOMO too.
Really? A positive side? I'm intrigued. Tell me more.
Well, imagine you're scrolling through your feed and you see a friend training for a marathon. You might feel a twinge of FOMO, but that feeling could push you to start your own fitness journey. It can be a motivator to get us out of our comfort zones.
That's so true. A few years ago, all my friends were learning to code. I definitely felt that FOMO. It pushed me to do a coding boot camp, and I ended up finding a new passion. Who knew?
Exactly. It's like FOMO has a superpower, urging us to learn new skills, explore new hobbies, even travel to new places. It can really broaden our horizons.
Okay, I'm starting to see the light, but let's be real. Sometimes FOMO feels less like a superpower and more like a supervillain. What about the downsides? The anxieties, the comparisons, the feeling of always being behind.
Absolutely. That's the other side of the coin. When FOMO runs wild, it can trap us in a cycle of comparison. Especially with social media, we see these perfect pictures of other people's lives, which can make us feel inadequate.
The comparison trap. It's so easy to fall into. When you're scrolling through everyone's highlight reels, you start to question yourself and feel pressure to keep up.
And that pressure can lead us to make bad decisions. Have you ever bought something you didn't need just because everyone else had it?
Oh, totally. Or even going to events. That I wasn't even interested in, just because I didn't want to be left out. It's like FOMO hijacks our brains.
Exactly. And when we're always chasing experiences, just to avoid feeling left out, we lose sight of what really matters. It's like we're trading our desires for keeping up appearances.
So FOMO can push us to grow, but it can also lead us down a bad path. It's almost like there's a healthy FOMO and a toxic FOMO. How do we know when it's going too far?
That's a great question. And what's even more interesting is that FOMO looks different for everyone. It changes depending on our stage of life.
Oh, that makes sense. I remember feeling so different about FOMO as a student versus now. How does FOMO show up in different life stages?
Let's start with students. They face so much pressure. Academics, social life, extracurriculars. It's a lot to juggle. It's easy to feel like you need to do everything to avoid missing out.
You just unlock a memory for me. I remember that feeling so clearly. It was like, if I wasn't doing it all, I wasn't really living.
Absolutely. That fear is real. Now young professionals, they face a different kind of FOMO. It's less about social status and more about career. They might feel pressure to constantly network, take on every project, and climb the ladder as fast as possible, all while looking perfect on social media.
It's like a competition to see who can achieve the most, the fastest. And if you're not hustling and showing off your success, feels like you're falling behind.
Exactly. That pressure to be on all the time can be so draining. It can lead to burnout.
Okay, so students are worried about fitting in. Young professionals are worried about getting ahead. What about people further along? Do they still experience FOMO?
Of course. It might look different, but FOMO isn't limited to any age group. Parents, for example, they face a lot of pressure and comparisons. They're told the right way to parent, the best activities for their kids, and how to balance work and family.
That makes sense. I see that with my friends who are parents. There's this pressure to give their kids the perfect childhood, while also maintaining a perfect image on social media.
And it doesn't stop there. Entrepreneurs and creatives, they have their own FOMO struggles. They might worry about missing industry trends, falling behind competitors, or not being on every platform. It can be overwhelming.
It's like they're running on a hamster wheel, always trying to stay ahead.
And even people in retirement or empty nesters, they aren't immune to FOMO. They might feel like they should be traveling the world or taking up exciting hobbies, living the active retirement dream. And when they compare themselves to others, it can make them feel left behind.
That's a good point. It's like FOMO changes with us. It adapts to our circumstances. It's a bit of a chameleon.
Exactly. And while FOMO can feel relentless, there are ways to manage it, even harness it for good.
Okay, tell me everything. How do we tame this FOMO beast? How do we navigate these feelings in a healthy way? I'm ready to take back control.
One of the most effective strategies is being mindful of your social media. like a diet for your mind. Set boundaries around how much time you spend scrolling. And be selective about who you follow. If someone's posts always make you feel bad, hit that unfollow button.
It's true. It's easy to get sucked in, but taking breaks can make a big difference. Moderation is key.
And try using those app timers to limit your time. You can even schedule specific times for scrolling, so you're not always overwhelmed.
I love that, taking back control. But what about when you're already feeling that FOMO? How do you deal with it in the moment?
Gratitude is powerful. When we focus on what we have instead of what we lack, it changes everything.
Comparison is the thief of joy. Gratitude is the antidote. I try to list a few things I'm grateful for every day, even small things. It really helps.
Exactly. Those little moments matter. And here's another strategy. Embrace the joy of missing out. JOMO.
JOMO. I've heard of it. But how can missing out be joyful?
It's about finding contentment in opting out of things that don't align with your values. Give yourself permission to say no without guilt.
Okay, I see. Instead of feeling bad about skipping that party, I can reframe it as self-care. Enjoying a quiet night.
Exactly. It's about focusing on what brings you joy. And sometimes that means saying no, even if something looks exciting.
So how do we know what to say yes to? It's like we need a filter.
You're right. That's why I recommend creating a personal FOMO filter.
A personal FOMO filter. I like it. How does it work?
It's a simple tool to help you decide if something is worth doing or if it's just FOMO talking. The first step is to pause. When you feel that FOMO, take a breath and reflect.
So don't immediately say yes.
Right. Then ask yourself, why am I feeling this? Is it because I really want to do this? Or am I feeling pressured?
That's a good question.
Then ask yourself, does this align with my goals? Does this fit with who I am? And finally, will this matter in the long run?
I love that. It's like a checklist for your FOMO.
Exactly. And the more you use this filter, the more you'll trust your gut and make choices that are right for you.
This is so helpful. I'm already thinking about FOMO differently. It's not an enemy. It's a signal.
That's it. FOMO is a signal, not a dictator.
So true. It's not about eliminating FOMO. It's about managing it and even using it to help us grow.
And sometimes missing out can lead to unexpected discoveries.
Oh, tell me more about that.
Well, when we're not pressured to do everything, we create space for new things. It's like you say no to a networking event and stay home, and you end up finding a new book or a documentary that sparks a passion, or maybe you skip that concert and explore your city and find hidden gems. It's those moments of missing out that can lead to something new.
I like that. It's like we're so busy trying to avoid missing out
Yeah.
that we miss the magic in front of us.
Exactly. What if we saw FOMO as a compass?
FOMO is a compass. What do you mean?
Those feelings of envy, they might be pointing us towards something we want, something we're missing.
Instead of chasing everything, we can ask, what is this FOMO telling me?
Right. If you're feeling FOMO about travel, maybe you're craving adventure. Or if it's about someone's business, maybe you have a passion project.
FOMO is a signal, not a command.
Exactly. You have a choice. Let FOMO control you or use it to grow.
This has been so insightful.
The takeaway is FOMO is normal, but we can choose how to respond.
Thought Tidbitters. Next time you feel that FOMO, don't panic. Use your personal FOMO filter. See what it's telling you. Maybe it's time to try something new, or just embrace the joy of missing out.
You might surprise yourself.
We want to hear from you. Share your FOMO experiences in the comments, and if you enjoyed this deep dive, hit that like button. Subscribe to Thought Tidbits for more, and share this with your friends. Until next time, stay curious.